The following content is sponsored and does not necessarily reflect the views of WATD Radio. Now, Paul Ponders on 95.9 WATD. Be a part of the show. Call or text 781-837-4900. Now, here's your host, Paul Solano.
Greetings, everyone. How is everyone doing today? Thanks for listening to Paul Ponders on WATD. My name is Paul Solano of the PS&L Marketing Group. I also wear another hat as General Manager of Pearl Street Station Restaurant in Malden. Well, happy February, everyone. Good riddance to January. It's cold, it's dreary out there, and we're in February now. Tomorrow we'll see what the groundhog has to say about the remaining part of winter. Well, as I have continually stated over the past 9 shows, it is an absolute honor and pleasure to be on WATD in the slot of The Boiling Point with Arthur Boyle. Arthur is busy doing some grandfather things right now, but I am pleased to have Arthur as the executive consultant of Paul Ponders and WATD. And with us today is Tim behind the glass. Tim, how are you today?
Doing well. Made it through the shift so far with the little hiccups. So. Well, always a plus.
You know, your 24 years of experience here at WATD and being, at the control board is just truly dynamic. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Paul.
You're welcome. And I don't know if Dave Cedrone is still here, but welcome back from vacation. Didn't have a chance to say hi to Dave today, but Dave, great job delivering the news. And also, too, on the way down from Malden where it was snowing and raining on the way down, got to listen to Duncan and to Attorney Tom Williams, and I'll tell you, 2 fine hosts, and just wonderful having them travel down all the way down to WATD. Now, today we will not be hearing from Olympian Dave Jensen of Riverworks Credit Union in his Financial Wing of Olympic Proportion segment. But we will be hearing from Shelley Wolf of Toolbox Entertainment later on. But in studio, it is an honor and pleasure. Sitting right across from me is the one and only dear friend, brother, David Boyle.
Wow, I hear clapping in the background.
Yes.
Studio audience.
It's a standing O.
Well, you don't get David as the Olympian, but I did work the Olympics in 1996.
You did.
That's about as close as I come to being an Olympian, but I was there.
Wow. Well, you've had such a varied career, David, with so many things, and you live in Pembroke now.
I do.
Right? And you're very active in the community, I would say.
Yes, I am.
And are you in politics, per se?
I am on the Pembroke School Committee, was elected to a 3rd term. I have about a year and a half to go on that, and then we'll take a look at how it plays out. I think we're in for a couple of tough budget years. Everyone is. It's no secret. The money's not there. The tax revenue's not there. It'll be a difficult time, but Pembroke's been good. It's a very well-run town, good people. You got to love the schools. You got to love the police, the fire, the town guys, office people. It's a blessing. It really, Paul, you and I grew up together. We knew Malden. We knew Malden politics, and we knew the people and the players. This is my second home. I grew up here summers as a kid. Used to lifeguard, and I was on the town beach committee for years. And then they eventually got absorbed into the recreation department. But it's a small town, and it's just nice people. Malden's changed a lot. I still love Malden, still home. High school still named after Dad.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
But no, this is a great place. If you're looking to, settle down, raise a family, it's, you can be in Boston, depending on traffic, of course, and traffic's everywhere. Mm-hmm. But it's a great place to live.
Well, some people have asked me, why do you go down to the South Shore? That's over the bridge. That's so far away. And I said, it really isn't. And, the road to a friend's home is never long, to go with that Irish proverb and all. But it's one of those things that, perhaps one day my wife Jackie and I will be settling down here on the South Shore. You may have some neighbors on Little Sandy one day.
Well, I think I was teasing you when I said, Paul, it's great. I said I got a North Shore guy doing a South Shore show. And it's really, there's radical differences in a nice way.
Right.
It's, we always joke a lot of times they roll up the sidewalks here about 8 o'clock at night.
Uh-huh.
The town's kind of quiet down and settle. I remember when Karen and I first moved down here, She used to joke with me, complaining about hearing like crickets and bugs and bats and stuff like that, as opposed to hearing ambulances and police cars and stuff like that. So,
right.
And it's really dark down here. There's not a lot of street lights and very few sidewalks.
Right, exactly. Well, Chef Felipe Fitzpatrick back at Pearl Street Station Restaurant makes a great pizza. And I tell him about the South Shore Pizza and how it's the bar pizza. And I tell him about local establishments, and a quick shout out to the wonderful people at Bryantville Pizza Kitchen. But it's one of those things that there's a North Shore Pizza and there's a South Shore Pizza.
Oh, definitely. There's a big difference. Again, growing up in Malden, we were big Highland Cafe people.
Yes.
That unfortunately out of business, but the Puglios did a great job there for years.
They did.
I was joked. It was one of my first accounts when I started in the wine and spirits business. They helped give me my start. Just super, super people. Well, you come down here, and it's the bar pizzas, a little smaller, done a little different. I'm not sure I can put in plugs for other places. The closest thing I found to what I call Boston or Malden pizza, there's a chain down here called Mamma Mia's. They've gone about 6 or 7 places. It's the Viscarello Hospitality Group, and they make a great pizza. It reminds me a lot of the Highland Cafe. Bryantville Pizza Kitchen, that's a legendary spot, by the way, because that's the old Billy Kids.
Oh, okay.
And there's actually stories, and there was pictures hanging up there years ago. They're right in Bryantville Center there.
Yes, yep.
And that's where the trains used to turn around. Supposedly in the middle there between Cumberland Farms and them and the other places, under that cement, concrete, whatever, tar, is old railroad tracks that would turn around.
Seriously?
And the train would go back up Route 58 to the old hitching post, which is where they got their name. There's a lot of great Pembroke history. And living in Little Sandy, there was Mayflower Grove. So what would happen is the trains would drop you off at Bryantville Pizza Kitchen there.
Okay.
Then you'd walk up to Little Sandy, you go down to Mayflower Grove, and you could rent a boat. I mean, we're talking early 1900s.
Sure.
There's actually a myth that somewhere in Little Sandy is the carousel that was there. And someone, like Babe Ruth's piano, they pushed out onto the ice. Someone said they pushed us out onto the ice and it sunk. We've searched for it. And I said, I'm 63, and trust me, we've covered every inch of that pond looking for that carousel, and we've not found it.
Wow. Well, maybe one day we'll just pop up.
I was told people years ago there was a house explosion not far from where Arthur and I live.
Sure.
And we still, every now and then out in front of the house, you find a vase or a picture frame that gets turned over in the sand. It brings back old memories. I mean, that probably happened, Paul, 50 years ago, probably 55 years ago. Which is about how long you and I have known each other.
Absolutely, without a doubt on that. And just a quick shout out, and people probably saying, is David Boyle related to Arthur Boyle of the Boiling Point? Yes.
I always say I'm the younger, better-looking brother.
There you go. And with that, as Arthur Boyle would say, it's not time to make the donuts, it's time to pay some bills. Let's hear from our sponsors.
Have you tried Bryantville Pizza Kitchen? From antipasto to baked ziti, specialty gourmet burgers, over 30 different kinds of pizza, and that's steak and cheese. Come on in and they'll show you why they made a reputation as being the best steak and cheese sub in the area. There's nobody that puts it together like your friends at the Bryantville Pizza Kitchen. Chicken wings and fingers and the famous flavors complement their stir-fry dinners. If subs and wraps aren't enough for your table tonight, expand into Greek and Caesar salads, maybe even a calzone. Anyway, it's all good at the Bryantville Pizza Kitchen. And don't forget, invite them to your next catered event. They'll bring the food. Bryantville Pizza Kitchen. Call them at 781-293-9857. Have you heard about Pembroke Collision? Price and quality don't often collide under the same roof. Not so at Pembroke Collision at 192 Maniquisett Street in Pembroke. Pembroke Collision will work with you and your insurance company to get you back on the road in a safe and satisfactory vehicle. Put your trust in Ben Bastianelli and his crew at Pembroke Collision. Just call 781-293-4040 or find them on Facebook. Pembroke Collision, happy to work for you.
Paul Ponders continues on 95.9 WATD. Once again, Paul Solano.
We are back. Thanks for listening to Paul Ponders on WATD. If you want to call in, please do at 781-837-4900, or you could download the Odyssey app if you haven't done so already. I know my daughter Ann in California is listening on the Odyssey app, so hopefully, Ann, you're up in California and you're listening to Dad. And shout out to all the nonprofits out there. Again, if you're a nonprofit out there and you want to appear on the show, please email me at paul@paulponders.com. Now, listeners can also go to paulponders.com to find subscription links to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube, as well as finding past Paul Ponders on WATD shows. So we have Dave Boyle. If you're just tuning in, we have Dave Boyle from Pembroke Malden in the studio. And David, it's great to have you here. We talked about your involvement in politics, being on the school committee and all, and you have a new recreation center in town.
Absolutely amazing. I was there last night. I tell people it's the best kept secret in town. I almost don't want to tell people about it. It's a beautiful building. A friend of mine, Lance Kennedy, is running it, served on the school committee with me, does an amazing job. But they have a facility. Last night it was full of young kids for Pembroke youth basketball. There's a walking track that's seeing a lot of action, and I jokingly tell people I've seen everyone from probably 18-year-old kids to, I'm going to say, 70s and 80s. The best kept secret, I'm going to get in trouble for saying this, they have a little fitness area up there, and it's $10 a month. And if you're a senior citizen, which I am, it's $5 a month.
Wow.
And it is, I'm going to say, not very well attended. So, again, I'm kind of maybe cramping my own style here and letting people know my secret place to work out. But it's an absolutely great facility, absolutely clean as can be, plenty of parking. They have the senior center there. I'll be honest with you, Paul, the amount of use this place is getting is incredible. Lance is doing such a great job. It appears to, in one sense, be generating its own income, paying for itself, already, which I think was a big concern for a lot of people. What do you do for programming, this and that? I happened to be at the front desk one day talking with a few people, and I was amazed how many people, Kingston, Duxbury, Norwell, and, everyone's saying, oh, this is the Taj Mahal, this is state of the art. And if you get a chance, you got to check it out. And I know they just expanded. They were only open 6 days a week. I believe they close at 3 on Saturday, but now they're 10 to 2 on Sunday. So again, it's what a great thing. And we're going to have a new public safety building starting in the spring. I believe they're going to break ground for that down by 14 and 53.
Okay.
Again, I always tell people, if you're going to be part of a town, and a lot of people, I hate to say, want to complain, whether it's the budget for the schools or for the town or the city, you can't stay stagnant. You've got to put money into the infrastructure, into the people, into the facilities, and that's what makes this place so special. I always tell people, hey, you can go live, back in the city if you want and see what happens, but you've got to keep updating what you have, and I think they've done a great job. I think the Board of Selectmen in Pembroke, again, the weird part of being in politics, and this, is I tell you, I don't get paid to be on the school committee. I give up, a couple nights a week. I always joke my frozen food melts, when I'm in Stop and Shop, because people want to talk to you.
Right.
And if you're going to be an elected official, you put yourself out there.
Right.
And a lot of times you get a chance to talk one-on-one with people, because unfortunately, Facebook to me and a couple of those things can be a menace. It's very easy to be anonymous, and I kind of say throw grenades, and people, oh my heavens, the sky is falling. What do we do? Like, no, the sky is not falling. And you rationalize with people and you explain what's going on. I just find that so much easier to do, and a lot of times if you're one-on-one, but no one that I'm aware of on the Pembroke School Committee or the Board of Selectmen or any of the town boards is getting rich off this.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's not like you're saying, wow, I can, get a job as a selectman in Pembroke and make $50,000 a year. It doesn't work that way.
Right.
It's people that care. It's people that want to do the right thing. People that put a lot of time and effort and research. And, I'm not going to say it's not appreciated. Again, there's some people that say to me all the time, thank you for what you do. And there's other people that say, wow, you got a school committee, how could you be so dumb? How could you be so stupid? It comes with the turf.
All those armchair voters, right?
Oh, yeah.
Always questioning. Yeah. Hindsight is 20/20.
Yeah. Well, I always tell people, if you don't like somebody, if you think, Dave Boyle isn't good, run against me.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like
Right.
the friend of mine used to always say there is such a thing as term limits.
Mm-hmm.
The voters can get sick of you and vote you out.
Right.
If people keep voting you in and they say, wow, this guy's doing a great job. I mean, at one point when I first got on the school committee, I used to joke, I think I was the only guy without double digits. We had Ginny Wandel was on for years, Mike Tropiano, Patrick Chilcott. It was just a cast of people that had unbelievable experience. And now it's in. You move on. Like, my theory is, as my kids get out of school, okay, it's the next guy's turn. Let him do
Right.
that. Maybe you look at a selectman run or something.
Right.
But, I don't know. Like I said, like everything else, you probably start to contemplate retirement as you get a little bit older, and you see what happens.
Right, exactly. Well, of course, growing up in Malden, we had some great mentors, if you will, in the political world, and you also worked at the State House as a legislative aide.
I did. That was an eye opener.
Right.
As a young kid, and I always joke, you kind of thought it was real, and then you start to see how the inner workings go. It's kind of like lifting up the hood of a car and going, "Oh, wow, hey,
Right.
this is connected to that. This one knows that." But I still one of my oldest friends in the world, Pierce Haley. We started up there. I think he was a legislative aide like myself. What's this, 40 years later, 45 years later, Pierce is a major lobbyist with some huge clients. He married a wonderful girl, Allison King, who used to be the political reporter
Yes. Yep.
for New England Cable News.
Yes.
I always joke that Pierce actually married my wife and I, and his wife was my photographer.
Right. I love it.
So it worked out pretty well. But I want to give a plug too. ATD, WATD.
Sure.
Ed Perry, I've met many times. I'm in full disclosure, I'm a dear friend of Christine James. If you look what these people do on the South Shore, it's amazing. From sports to political forums to interviews to, they're in the kind of state of the art. They catch the news stories when they happen. They're out there, and they do an amazing job. And I think a lot of people say, well, geez, sometimes it's a talk format, sometimes it's a music format. Late at night, it's this, it's that. There's kind of something for everybody.
Right.
You may not listen every Monday night to the show or every Tuesday night to the show or, Sharon McNamara, talking real estate stuff. I honestly do. There's a lot of these things that I do listen to. Now, there are other things, I probably don't. But they have such a community base, a community interest. I always, kid Christine James, again, is kind of being the dean down here. She's got more contacts and probably has a Rolodex second to none.
She's our head news diva. Yeah. Yes.
Well, yes. And she's also one of the most generous people.
Yep. She's great.
I've
We're very lucky to have
her with TIC, the Talking
Yes.
Information Center. And I always say, Christine calls, and I say, my first words are yes. And then it's, what would you like me to do?
Right.
So, Christine, if you're listening, I'm giving you a plug here.
Absolutely. And I want to give a plug to Billy in the TIC downstairs. And he's just a wonderful person to chat with every Saturday morning when I come in here. To come up to the studio. It's always nice to see Billy. So the people at TIC just do a great job. They
do an amazing. Again, there's just people in this town. You hate to point out one because if you mention one, you forget
right.
that. But you got like Peter Brown, Tiny and Sons. Peter Brown, to me, has never seen a charity that he wouldn't support.
Right.
Karen and I were very big in scouting, when Liam was younger. And Peter was always, again, yes. Oh, what do you need, Karen? That type of thing. And again, here's an amazing thing about Pembroke. We have over 70 Eagle Scouts out of Pembroke, Massachusetts.
Wow.
Just Pembroke. That's not, Hanson, Marshfield. It's amazing how big the scouting program is down here. It's amazing. I love it.
It really, really is great. Well, we have a call on the line. I don't know who this is, but I guess we have a call on the line. And could this be, I believe it is our Pod Pro Entertainment Techie Toolbox segment with Techie Chalonzo Amos and Shelley Wolf, global media firm owner of Toolbox Entertainment and a past Paul Ponders guest, episode number 35. Is this Shelley?
Hi, Paul. How are you doing today?
I am doing well, Shelley. Thanks for calling in and being part of the segment. How are you?
I'm doing great. It was great learning about Pembroke. I've never heard of it. So
absolutely.
I look forward to learn more.
Absolutely. We'll have to take a ride down to Pembroke and meet Dave Boyle and Arthur Boyle and maybe take a tour of the station when you come up to visit. It would be great.
Absolutely.
Now, you're calling from Philadelphia, and my thoughts and prayers are out to you and your fellow friends, family out in Philadelphia. If you care to elaborate on what happened last night.
Yeah, thank you. It was a scary moment. I'm about 10 miles away from where a plane crashed yesterday, and I have some friends that live very near to there, and unfortunately we lost a family that was moving their child from Shriners Hospital. We don't know exactly why the plane went down. Obviously a lot more other casualties and stuff, so I would happen to be walking home from work and like tons of sirens everywhere. I wasn't really sure what happened. And so, but I thank everybody for checking in and just, keeping my prayers and thoughts with all those around. I was able to check in on all my team, and all my team was safe. So that was good. So.
Wow.
So yeah.
Well, our thoughts and prayers are with you all in Philadelphia. And, we'll just we won't stop thinking about you and your friends and family down there. Now, as far as your checklist of things to do, I know last week you hinted that there would be a taxing situation coming up. Do you care to allude to that, maybe?
Yeah. Well, there's lots going on in the government. Maybe we won't be paying taxes. I don't know, but it is tax season, right?
It certainly is.
So I felt it was really important to actually talk about, how to protect our information, because this is a time that I think we get so focused on getting those returns filed in time. And at the same time, cyber criminals are just as eager to steal your information. So for me, it's, again, we've talked about a lot of topics that kind of coalesce and cross each other, but from phishing emails to fake tax preparers. I mean, who would have thought that you would have fake tax preparers out there? But they are, because scammers are everywhere. And so today we're going to talk about some safety tips to help keep your personal and financial information secure during this crazy tax time, and why tax season, again, is such a pivotal point for cyber scams. Tax season is one of the busiest times of years where tax criminals kind of really hone in on your urgency and a fear to, like, am I getting money? Am I not getting money? So many common scams include, phishing emails and texts where fake messages claiming to be the IRS are asking for your personal information. Like I mentioned, we have found that there is fake tax prep services out there, and they're scamming as accountants or online filing services, who are planning to steal your data. And then identity theft. And let me tell you, as a person who's been a victim of identity theft, that is not fun. It took me 3 years to clear my name. But criminals do file fraudulent tax returns in people's names and claim those refunds. So, I'll give an example. I recently heard someone got an email saying they were from the IRS and that their return was incomplete and that they needed immediate information. So one thing that I just really want to alert listeners to is the IRS does not send emails at all like that. So how can you spot these? You can spot them by making sure, again, you are not clicking on links, you are not responding to an email that comes in. And what I like to tell people is go register at the IRS directly. So if you actually go to www.irs.gov/payments/your online account, you can create an account there. And you can monitor your tax return, when it goes in, what money you're getting back once it's been filed, and that sort of thing. I started to say the HTTPS : and that is really important because that means it's a secured network. So when you're looking up in that bar where you type your URL or your www, you want to make sure it has the HTTPS : anytime. You're looking at any web address, really, but especially the IRS, you want to ensure that that's there because that means it's a secure account. So that is really key. So a pro tip is, again, go directly to the irs.gov and set up your information there and watch it. Like I said, be aware of phishing scams. The IRS will never initiate contact with you via email, a text, social media for any personal financial information. If you receive those suspicious emails, report them, delete them. Do not click on any links. I encourage people, we've talked about the two-factor authentication, and it's getting better every day. I mean, I'm actually really starting to enjoy and appreciate it, where it's like literally sends you a code, you type in the code, you don't even have to remember your password. But setting those up is a great second layer of security, because if you didn't go there and you get a text, then someone's trying to fish for my information, right? So one thing, again, just a very way to protect yourself. Avoid public Wi-Fi when sending and working on important websites like the IRS or filing your taxes. Don't be opening your tax information in a coffee shop, on your phone, or on a computer that doesn't have a secure network. So what I mean by that is those Wi-Fi, they're gathering your information. So make sure you're hardwired into your computer at home if possible to send that information. And again, when picking a tax preparer, like how are you picking one? Making sure that you find a tax preparer that's legitimate. You can also ask for something that's called a preparer tax identification number, or a PTIN. This you can verify on the IRS website. And again, red flags. If someone's promising you large refunds, they're probably a scammer. If they request for payment or gift cards, wire transfers, scams. Asking for personal email or information, again, scams. So big red flags to make sure you're watching out. Again, protecting your own tax documents, and this goes with mail or anything really, but anything that has your sensitive information, shred it. Cut it up really bad with scissors, if you've got to burn it, but if you don't have a shredder, there's many other ways, but don't just put your personal information in the trash, because people do go in the trash and pull it out. And even if you just rip it a couple times, you want to make sure people can't piece this together, or it's going to take them a lot of work to piece it together, right? Again, monitor your IRS account for suspicious activity. I personally have a rule for myself. I'm getting a refund. Yes, you can deposit it in my bank account, but if you're going to take my money, then I'm going to pay you on April 15th. I send the info, you can make payment at that point. Part of that is because, yes, they can get in and pull your money, but why let them make interest on your money ahead of time? So, don't do your refunds don't do your payments until April 15th. So again, just be aware of unexpected tax refunds or payments that you may or may not be expecting. And again, just for a quick checklist on the websites, again, make sure you're looking up in that URL area that it's got a https://, set up some two-factor authentications. Never share your tax details via an email, a text, or phone call. Usually a proper tax preparer will have you upload to a secure site. They take it and they download it. They guarantee a shredding your information over a certain time. You can watch when it's downloaded. You can actually know when it's been released and cleared in those folders. Avoid public Wi-Fis when accessing your tax information. Again, verify your tax preparer's information and monitor your IRS account on a regular basis for suspicious activity. So again, I just like to remind people to take time to check your online security, especially before filing those taxes, and caution just so you don't have headaches later. Make sure that you're just staying safe. Check your information and reach out to a trusted cybersecurity expert if you have questions that And again, I'm so excited to be here and offer another great segment to you guys.
And it certainly is #Indeed on that. And how do our listeners in WATD world get in touch with you?
Yeah, so if anybody's interested in reaching us, we can be reached at info@podproentertainment.com.
Fabulous. Well, Shelley Wolf, I thank you again for being on Paul Ponders on WATD, and we will catch up with you real soon. And again, our thoughts and prayers are with you and your fellow friends and family in Philadelphia.
Thank you, Paul.
And I think Dave Boyle has something to say.
Well, you better say go Eagles, so you're probably going to be in a little trouble there.
That's next week. Next week, absolutely.
Shelley,
yes, go Eagles.
I hate to say it, in full disclosure, two friends of mine are coaches on the Kansas City staff, but for the sake of radio harmony, I said, let's go Eagles. Good luck.
I know, I'm torn with you there too. So, but I'll be in Boston rooting for Philly. So
there we go.
Well, I thought you were saying let's go Eagles for BC in the Bean Pot on Monday night.
Oh. Some fond memories of Bean Pots.
Absolutely. You guys,
yeah,
Shelley.
We got the 76ers there this week. So
There you go. Shelley, thanks so much, and be well, okay?
Thank you. You guys as well. Take care.
Thank you. Hashtag indeed. Well, let's hear from our sponsors.
Have you heard about Pembroke Collision? Price and quality don't often collide under the same roof. Not so at Pembroke Collision at 192 Manakesett Street in Pembroke. Pembroke Collision will work with you and your insurance company to get you back on the road in a safe and satisfactory vehicle. Put your trust in Ben Bastianelli and his crew at Pembroke Collision. Just call 781-293-4040 or find them on Facebook. Pembroke Collision, happy to work for you. Have you tried Bryantville Pizza Kitchen? From antipasto to baked ziti, specialty gourmet burgers, over 30 different kinds of pizza, and that's steak and cheese. Come on in and they'll show you why they made a reputation as being the best steak and cheese sub in the area. There's nobody that puts it together like your friends at the Bryantville Pizza Kitchen. Chicken wings and fingers and the famous flavors complement their stir-fry dinners. If subs and wraps aren't enough for your table tonight, expand into Greek and Caesar salads, maybe even a calzone. Anyway, it's all good at the Bryantville Pizza Kitchen. And don't forget, invite them to your next catered event. They'll bring the food. Bryantville Pizza Kitchen. Call them at 781-293-9857.
Paul Ponders continues on 95.9 WATD. Once again, Paul Solano.
We are back. Thanks for listening to Paul Ponders on WATD. Again, if you want to call in, you can call in at 781-837-4900. And if you're just tuning in, Dave Boyle from Pembroke via Malden is with me. Now, David, we talked about your career. You worked at the State House. You saw how government was working and all, but you've been doing a few other things in your career.
Yeah. I've been fortunate. I work for a great company called the Martignetti Companies, and we're the 5th largest wine and spirits wholesaler in the country. And I like to say I started with them. We were number 5 in the state. And now you see how big we've gotten, how well they've done. We have an amazing corporate headquarters, put a 140-acre-plus site down in Taunton.
It's beautiful.
Just bought our 4th Anheuser-Busch distributorship. It's funny to see how the business, I tell people, I remember first coming in as a kid, writing orders by hand, and you had to call them into someone in the office. And then we thought we were cool because you would type it into the phone on a phone booth, which don't try to find a phone booth nowadays.
Right.
And now everything is, iPads and all those type of things, and you can pull up account histories. And so the business has changed, drastically. The thing I would tell you, COVID hurt this business in general. Retail, I don't think it hurt as much because people, could go. But when they shut the restaurants down, and you're a restaurant guy, I run the on-premise side of the company, which means you drink on-premise. And I run all the national accounts and things of that nature. We've lost that diner after about 8:30, 9 o'clock. Because COVID for 2 years was, nope, you can't go out, you got to close the restaurants.
Right.
We've never recovered from that. So it's a bit of an eye-opener. I'm hoping it comes back. I really do. I probably have to be polite and say I'd love to find the guy who came up with the idea of dry January. And what a way to kill business. But now it's February, so we're out of dry January. So February was January was not a very good month. But I want to give you a plug, Paul. And so we've been friends a long time. And it's funny when you know people back in junior high and high school, you say, geez, I wonder what this guy's doing, what that guy's doing. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you, family man, great kids, doing this. If you had told me, 40, 50 years ago when we first met each other, we'd be doing a radio show together on a Saturday afternoon, I would have said, "That was nuts. Is he crazy?" But you've done very well for yourself.
Thank you.
And, we've all had our ups and downs. It's the nature of life and the beast. But I just think this is cool. And I was saying, when we were kind of off on break, I said, it just flows. I could sit here and talk to you, take the microphone away or do whatever and, pick a topic. And I think you and I could talk on it for hours.
You're right. You're absolutely right. And, and I know both you and I would show up at the opening of an envelope.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things that, this is just so natural and so free flowing. It really is. And, this this is my 9th show. I'm so relaxed right now, and it's just you and I talking like we did in junior high and in high school.
Yeah, we did agree, though, time flies. It is absolutely, you're doing a 45-minute show, and we're probably 40-plus minutes into it, pretty close, and you're saying, oh, my heavens, this is, again, I'm thinking to myself, what are you talking about for 45 minutes? And,
Absolutely. Yeah.
It works very well.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. It's all good stuff.
Well, the other thing is that you talked about, I like to call it my careers, and it's been fun. I like to use the term dabbled in the private security segment, and I got to be careful not securities. I don't sell that kind of stuff, but I've always done some kind of event management, everything to personal protection. I've done wakes, weddings, funerals, birthday parties. It's been a fascinating ride, and a friend of mine said, gee, you should write a book someday, and I said, I couldn't, because people let me into their house. And I'm not that kind of guy that can say, hey, you know what Paul does? He walks around his house in his fuzzy slippers, and his headphones. I just think that people do that, and it's the mentality of, hey, I'm going to get rich. I'm going to do a tell-all book. I mean, I've worked for some very important people, celebrities. I mentioned earlier, I worked the Olympics in '96. I've done World Cup soccer. I'd worked for the Kraft family. I've owned my own company for 15 years. And it was fun, but the stuff you get to do, and you've done some work with me in the past. We do everything from college events to Harpoon beer festivals and
the Democratic National Convention back in 2004. Which
Democratic
was
Convention.
always interesting.
Yeah, and it's and you work in some great facilities. I mean, places like the Wang Center, beautiful, beautiful building. The Colonial, the Schubert. Just if you go in those buildings, look at the architecture. So many times you get wrapped up to see the show. I said this, if you go in the Wang Center, if you get the chance, walk down towards the stage and then look up and look back. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
Without a doubt. And I have to just say that it's a shout out to the people at the Wang Center, the Box Center. They're in their 100th anniversary year, and we've done a lot of work at the Wang Center, the Box Center. And I know Joe Spalding is in retirement now, and Casey has taken over. And Eric Neal, they just do a great job over there. But it's such a beautiful, beautiful building. There's so much history there.
Yeah,
it's great.
It's funny. I was just had a meeting with Casey after Joe had left, and a dear friend of mine, Joel Gott, in the wine business, and I was joking. He's got Gott is his slogan, which is I always tease Joel. I said, when you're rich, you're eccentric. When you're poor, you're crazy. I said he's somewhere in between, but. He actually offered to do a wine dinner to help celebrate the 100th anniversary of the Wang. Years ago, they did one on the stage, and it was a pretty cool event. About 400 people on the stage, and it was again, it was the size of that building until you have places like that. Right. So it's fascinating.
Oh, it truly is. It's just it's Boston. It's a great history and all. But you have in fact. Really just worked so many different events through the years. What is? Do you have any favorite events?
I will tell you there's what I call some memorable stuff.
Okay.
I went down to do the Olympics in '96. Karen and I had just moved to Pembroke, July 1, and I want to say I left somewhere. I'd have to cross the dates, but I hate to call it the Centennial Park bombing.
Sure, right.
I literally had just gone to bed, and you knew the original guys I worked with, and my dear friend Steve McDonald, a.k.a. Bubba.
Yes.
I said, Bubba, I got to get some sleep. I've been awake for about a day and a half. We were setting up all this stuff. And the Olympics is like nothing you've ever worked. Someone said, the Super Bowl. I said, Super Bowl is great, but it's one day. I did 18 days in Atlanta in almost 100-degree heat. And I said, Bubba, don't wake me up. And it's awful to say. I said, unless a bomb goes off. About 20 minutes later, there was a knock on my door. And I said, go away. And he said, Davey, a bomb went off.
Oh, my.
And we had to get up and go secure all the stadiums. And, again, you didn't know. This is all before 9/11. This, this stuff never happened.
Right.
So now all of a sudden, there's some kind of a bombing. And so that was memorable. And then, you meet some amazing people. Mike Tyson is one I remember. Fascinating guy. We have a pre-shift meeting. He says to me at the meeting, kind of like holding his finger up, and I said, Mr. Tyson, what can I do for you? He goes, can you have all your guys call my wife Mrs. Tyson? Well, I'm thinking, what else would we call her? Sure. So we do the whole thing. And back then he does that one-man show. So he does a meet and greet. He does a book signing, a reception. Had to be 1 o'clock in the morning. And I know some friends of mine are listening. Billy, I think, is listening. My daughter, Emily. And, all of a sudden Mike says, Mr. Boyle, one more thing. And I'm saying, oh, my God, it's 1 o'clock in the morning. What could this guy want? He wants us to take him out to breakfast or something. And he said, can I take a picture with your guys? He goes, they're like the coolest guys I've ever worked with.
Oh, wow.
Nice video. So I have a picture on my phone. It's really kind of cool. So he was special. Frankie Valli. Yes. Amazingly special. What a great guy. Again, sounds weird. Donny Osmond. One of the most unique people I've ever met. Generous, caring, can't do enough for his audience, his people. Back when Mom was alive, I brought Bob York back to the house.
Yes.
Someone might remember he was Spencer for Hire or Dan Tanner in Vegas.
Right.
Big guy, about 6'4".
Right.
And we had to make a stop at the house for a second. So about 11:30 at night, I walk in to my house with Bob York, and my mother's kind of looking like, oh, my goodness. And again, funny story there. His wife, Heather, was one of the original daughters in The Sound of Music.
Oh, seriously?
I did not know that when I was working for them. Someone told me that after the fact.
Wow.
Yeah.
I never knew that.
Yeah. But again, people let me in their house.
Right.
Nicest, sweetest people. Couldn't do enough for you. I'm working for you. And they're saying, can we do this for you? Can we? It was fun. But again, you really can't take pictures. You can't things.
Right.
But again, Mariah Carey, wonderful woman to work with. Gloria Estefan sent out for food for us one night. We ended up working kind of a later show. And she's like, you guys must be starving. She sent her assistant out to get food.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
So you get some memorable stuff. I remember hanging out with George Benson, concerts on the Common. That's 100 years ago. Again, another funny story. I remember not letting Eddie Money in because I thought someone told me it was Eddie Murphy. So I'm back at the celebrity door, and the guy's trying to come in. I'm looking for, kind of a black gentleman. I didn't know if he was tall, short. I had no idea, but I knew what Eddie Murphy looked like. And then someone says to me, we're looking for Eddie Money. And I'm like, who's Eddie Money? 2 Tickets to Paradise, the whole thing. I'm like going, oh, that's who that was. So we have some great moments, some screw-ups here and there. So
absolutely. And I have to give a shout-out. I'm a BC guy, but you are a Springfield College guy.
Go Springfield. You got to love that. We just came off a great football season, great school. Jokingly, the defensive coordinator for the Chiefs next week, Steve Spagnuolo, Springfield College guy. My brother was 81, class of 81. I was 83. Spags was 82. We used to do spring break back in the day. I haven't seen Spags in years, but he's had a great run. Dave Tobe is over there, who started at Springfield. I want to say he finished up at TCU, if I'm not mistaken. But no, just a great school. It was funny. I was out walking my dogs the other day wearing a Springfield sweatshirt, and a woman told me that her daughter, wants to go there. And I said, whatever you can do. It takes a special kid, no different than BC, I'm sure. But I was telling you, if you set foot on the campus of Springfield, you belong there.
Right.
It's my dear friend Tess Chilcott, Patrick and Sabrina, dear friends. Liv went one way. She wanted to go to Suffolk, and I think she went BC Law, if I'm not mistaken. And Tess actually got her doctorate from Springfield.
That's fabulous.
Yeah, and it was. Again, one of those funny stories. You bring her up there, and I'm jokingly saying to her, well, over here is the library. I was never there. Over here is this building. I never was there. So we're driving home, and Tess really didn't know me that well at the time. And she says to her dad, she goes, did Mr. Boyle ever go to school? He's like, but you sold her on the place.
Right,
so,
exactly.
But
are you still on the board?
No. I actually run their Eastern Mass Alumni Association.
Oh, fabulous.
I'm going up there for a career night the end of this month. I'm still pretty actively involved. It's a great thing. So, again, just a great school. The campus is beautiful. They've made some changes. They brought a guy, Dick Flynn, in years ago as the president, and I tell people he was the brick and mortar. And then they brought this woman in, Mary Beth Cooper, who was like the blood running through the veins. And one of the great stories of Mary Beth is, I think it was the track team was going out to a meet, kind of a big meet, whatever. And she came running out of her house. The president actually lives on campus. And she came running across the street to the athletic complex with cookies to give to the kids, homemade cookies.
Wow.
that's Springfield. It's about 2,000 people, kids. I mean, a lot of commuter students, so it kind of ups the numbers. And there's a lot of people now in the master's programs and the doctoral programs, but about 2,000, 2,200 kids on campus. And it's great. And I'm still in touch, guys that I went to school with starting in 1979 when I got out of high school. And we still have a group of about 12 or 15 of us that, what do they call them? Threads. We're on a thread.
Right.
Happy birthday, Merry Christmas, grandkids, pictures. It's kind of cool.
That is so cool. Well, we haven't even scraped the surface here.
Oh.
David, could we have you back as a guest in future shows?
Paul, I would be honored. This was so much fun. It went by way too fast.
Without a doubt. Thank you, David. So stay tuned to WATD for the memories with Ron Dwyer, the grand poobah of oldies rock and roll. Listeners can go to paulponders.com to find subscription links to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube, as well as finding past Paul Ponders on WATD shows. Thanks again to Tim, Arthur Boyle, David Boyle, and our advertisers. But really, thank you, listeners in WATD world and beyond. Keep Paul pondering. #Indeed.